off the bat, I can tell you some of the things I would recommend, just fundamentally. I would recommend so yes guys, I just wanted to present and pretty much have you asked me questions about being the complete bassist, because there's so much that goes into being the complete musician. There's so much that goes into being the complete anything, man. If you're going to be a keyboard player, there's a lot of work to do. If you're going to be a bassist, there's a lot of work to do to become a complete bassist. So off the bat, I can tell you some of the things I would recommend, just fundamentally. I would recommend that you get 3 things. You have to know or get all the techniques right. You don't have to be a jazz musician, but you have to get your harmony, your scales, and your feel down. So your harmony, scales, feel. Don't worry about slap, don't worry about tap. Those things fall into place after. Right? So you get your scales, your modes. Let me turn the beat, give you this. So you get your scales, get your modes, get your arpeggios. Alright? Chords. Learn your diatonic chords. Right? Right? You learn to play different styles using different progressions. Like for example, 1-6-4-5, 1-6-2-5, the blues progression. Right? There's this exercise that Maurice gave me back then that used to help me to know the different shapes of playing. Like for example, it's called the cartoon exercises, where I did 1-6-4-5 in all keys, using only the 4 strings, not the 5th string, and not passing the 5th fret. So you cannot change fingering. So you have to do. I know this guy, when I was teaching a school of music, Jonathan, I used to teach you guys this too. Also go right. Right? You keep doing that until you go right back to C. So you stay right in that same position, and you learn a lot of different ways to play the same thing. So learning options, right? 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 So those are some of the fundamental things to practice. But in terms of being the complete bass player, it's going to take more than just me telling you to practice this scale or that scale. There's some things you have to do. So for the bass players who would want to really have specific help with anything, you can ask me that right now.
Sir Livy.
Yeah.
Look here. Oh boy.
Oh, yes, bro.
Okay. What I want to ask is
yeah,
for the positioning of the right hand,
yeah,
how do you correct how much your wrist is bent?
well,
on the
which
bass?
is, if you know, so I hold the bass now, is sometimes I play it like this, but you know, when I'm slapping, where I don't need to put any kind of pressure, because this is the position of my wrist at that time, so I don't need to be doing this. If I manage to be playing in this position while the bass is on this leg, I lift my entire arm off the bass and not curve it because it puts a lot of pressure here. That's what I do. All right. But for the most part, I play the bass here on this left leg, so that less pressure is on the right hand. It's almost straight now. You understand me? I can play like this too. Right. So there's absolutely no stress in the right hand. It's like right.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right, all right. Why I ask is that sometimes when I play,
Yeah.
my wrist actually hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. You starting to me too. You starting to me, and all of here used to be all of here used to just literally hurt to the point where I used to have to wear what you call it, a wrist support.
Wrist support, right?
Yeah. But after a while I realized I have to change course because I'm going to continue doing that. One of these days I'm going to be on stage and I have no wrist support and I can't play. So I changed the technique to play like this. Take practice doing it because you know this kind of gives you some level of support.
Right.
It take a lot of practice. Right. It's a lot of practice to get comfortable with it.
Thanks very much, sir.
Pleasure.
All right, Luke.
Yeah.
Yes,
That I
sir.
can always tell you something else because I can drop in snippets. You know, things like um, learning to walk bass lines too, you know? Because there's a way to walk bass lines. For example, going to a blues progression. And these are some of the fundamental things you must learn to play. Right? You have the straight ahead, you have the rock blues, right? Which is shuffle. You have the then you have the jazz blues, which is where it is at for me, if you ask me. The jazz blues. So walking bass line is an attitude. That boom, 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 swing, right?
Right.
I wish I could cover that with all the depth I want to, but yeah.
Yes, Uncle Heavy. The question I like to ask then,
Yeah.
in terms of dexterity, because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I always have a challenge like whenever I'm not playing that much, my fingers like get
Yeah.
weak in terms of dexterity.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to play a piece like say giant steps or something like that, I have to warm up like even
Yep.
half an hour or so
Mm-hmm.
before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what in terms of the permutations, apart from that,
Mm-hmm.
what exactly did I do to gain like finger strength? You know?
Well, there's very little you can do apart from the only other thing I used to do is I used to have a little thing, I don't remember what you call it. Looks like this with a spring inside it, I used to squeeze it. But that does very little because that only work works on the right hand, and there's no substitute for actually playing the bass. So the thing for me is that just to get dexterity back, sometimes I'll just stay one spot and do. Then I'll do chromatic up. I'll do that for a while. If I find that I'm tripping like I'm now, I'll. So what I'm trying to do here is to make sure that the right hand is moving in concert to the left. You want to make sure every note that is played here, the left hand is picking up. Right? So you want to make sure none of this is an accident. All of these things you must be able to choose this. The idea is that so you practice do. One more thing, try to keep this movement as vertical as possible. Right?
Oh, the right hand, yeah.
The right hand. Meaning you don't try to avoid doing that. Do right. You cover less space. Right? The more vertical you keep your hands, the less you cover less space trying to catch a string. Yeah. And practice with a metronome as well.
Come on, give thanks.
All right.
Bless up, Chaka.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, big up.
Right. Bass.net.
Good night, Levy.
Good night, boss.
Yeah. Ocean speaking, sir.
All right, Ocean, where's the man?
What can you do to develop that speed that I saw you with earlier? Yeah, because I was watching your right hand with the index and the middle finger, and it was so accurate. So I'm asking, you know, how you develop that quick speed and the fretboard, because I watched him running from up straight down to the bass, you know?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, one of the things about bass and guitar, because playing guitar, when we started playing guitar, that was my new challenge. It took me about a month to properly get the pick technique. The key, yeah, like somebody said, Mr. Gardner, 8 hours a day practice, that's true. I never know it just like living, but yeah. The truth is, when you're practicing to play bass or guitar, you want to make sure that the alternate movement of your right hand is synchronizing with the movement notes you're finding with your left hand fingers. You don't want your left hand to be moving faster than your right hand, or your right hand to be moving faster than the left. Otherwise, when you end up with stuff like this, not clean. Right? That's what you end up getting. So you want to make sure whatever speed you can play in this hand, the left hand can actually match that speed of finding the notes. So let me see if I can do another slow demonstration of what I mean by that. Let's say I'm playing let me play. I'm gonna play a lick. So. Right, that's lick. Let's do it. Now here's the lick. It's a dominant 7 lick, right? Now. Right? Right? How do I get that? I have to make sure when I'm practicing that, each one of those notes, each finger. Right?
Yes, sir.
Next finger. So you have to make sure that these two hands are moving at the same speed. You can even practice stuff like this. Just pentatonics. That's to make sure that the left hand and the right hand are moving together. Right. Right?
Okay, sir. All right, one big question, last question.
Yep.
Oh, you develop tone.
Tone?
Tell me, two ways can you develop that tone on the bass that you're playing? Two
Good.
ways you can develop that playing tone.
Yeah, that's a very good question. One,
Yes.
your controls, and two, where and how you play. So one is your controls.
Yes, sir.
If you don't understand these things, you don't get sounds. For example, when I'm going to play a slap for maybe a slap session, I want to make sure I have the right amount of tapping, the right amount of bottoming, and the right amount of mid-range, while at the same time I know which pick up the balance towards and which pick up the balance away from. So I'm going to play a slap tone. I want a deep belching Marcus sounding slap tone. I need bass on that because Marcus tone is deep. The next thing is I want to make sure that whatever the pickup I'm going to use is the one towards the front. This bass is kind of set up different from Marcus's still, because this is a PO pickup. But regular basses would have one big pickup here, one here. This one is for more of the top ranges and the medium range, and this one is for the deep sounds. So mix towards the front ones. I have two pickups for that. The front one is the deep one, so I use the balance and turn it a little bit above the mid range of the balance to the front pickup. That means you still have some of the back pickup in there, right? The next thing is you want to make sure you have it at a good enough volume so you don't have to play too hard. Don't ever turn up your treble to the maximum, because it takes away from the steel sound and give you this, it's too tweaky, so it's not a nice sound. Alright, so if you listen to this now, so that's for slap, right? So let's say I'm slapping. That's a sound that I would want to use. If I want to play more like a jazz bass tone, I want to pan the bass sound back towards the back pickup. So I turn the balance back a little bit below half. Still keep the bass up, maybe not to maximum. Turn off most of your treble, or almost all of your treble. And this is the sound you have. You sound a little bit more Jack or Farrell or Adrian Farrell. So you hear the sound. You hear the difference in the sound. When I balance towards the back pickup, you get a jackal sounding jazz bass. When I balance towards the front pickup, you get a slap sounding bass. And the thing about it is, the other aspect to it now is where you play and how you play. If you play towards this pickup, you get a Marcus kind of. I don't know if you ever hear Marcus play a solo over some songs, and it sounds almost like he's slapping. When he's actually playing fingerstyle. Play towards the front pickup, like here. See? When I play towards the front pickup, that's the sound I get. If I play towards the back pickup, especially if I turn off the mid-range, you hear the sound changes. So that is it. So the two things: understanding your controls and understanding where on your bass to play. You can even get wood sound walking bass from playing on like a wood. If I play more towards here. Yeah? So those are two things.
Sicko.
Okay.
Before we could, let's take Sicko.
You're sick of bad boy that.
Yeah, man. Rebel Keys.
Oh, cool living. Blessings, been a while, you know.
Greetings, brother. Yeah, man, long time.
Question. I know you as an all-rounder. No, I don't know the technicalities of bass like you do.
Yeah,
I know you as an all-rounder.
yeah.
So I've seen you play everything except drum set before, right?
Yeah.
But based on the approach that you take to each instrument, how much of those other approaches you would take to the bass guitar? That is one question. And two, when you find 8 hours a day when you have a family, how that work?
The thing about it is that these are good questions, man. All right, let me answer the first one. All right, so the first one is you have to. Yes, I take everything I do on all these instruments to the bass. Like I said before, bass is a harmony instrument. It's not. I remember when I was growing up in St. Anne and people used to say, the thing about the bass, you know, the bass easy, you just play one note. And I was very misguided back then thinking that is true, but that is not true. The bass is a harmony instrument, right? So you have to know what you are in the chords that are being played. What's your role? What are you playing there? You know, what does my A mean to that C chord? Or what does my A mean to that F chord? Things like those you have to know, right? When playing piano helps a lot with that. Because piano is a spreadsheet, and piano approach and guitar approach to this are different from that of the bass. So I'll play it maybe chords like those are played on the piano like that. So I carry some of those chord shapes like 9, 10, 13, those kind of shapes. We spread out those chords like this. I carry them to the bass. And when I'm playing like in keys like in the key of E major, where I have the open E, I do things. I took that straight from piano, right? Those are the piano extensions. And guitar, I don't really practice to carry guitar stuff across to the bass because I kind of like the difference. I don't want to come to the bass sounding like a guitar player on the bass. Yeah. So when I'm playing guitar, I tend to approach it like a guitar, use guitar voicings and use guitar lines and guitar chops. Think more George Benson and not Adrian Farrod or Marcus Miller. So, but it helps too. It helps, man. Okay. And what the second one was, when we find time. Well, this is what. Yeah. This I'll tell every young bass player now. Practice put on. The thing about it is when I used to practice back then, I used to practice hard. I used to practice like 8 hours a day, more than 8 hours. 8 hours a day was a staple time. I used to go to the bridge at Edna College. Everybody know the bridge. I used to sit down on that bridge from like 8 o'clock in the evening, and the next morning I'm not going till 4 or 5 o'clock. Pure practicing. I have my pocket band with my earphone over my ears. I have my fake book. Any tune I want, I just go into the pocket band and find it and look at the cards in the fake book and play along with the cards and then practice the solo. And I'm tripping up over things, turn off the pocket band and practice the lick till I get it. Those times I spend doing, and I spend about a good decade of my life just doing consistent practice.